talking about the southern border. It's not the southern border,
No.
it's the northern border
Southern shoreline. Oh, of Cape
of
Cod.
Cape Cod Bay.
Yeah.
So like Watson discovered it for me.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sherlock.
Okay, guys, you ready?
We're not here tonight. Oh, we have to fix the
I don't
clock,
know.
too.
Is Rosemary to be here
No,
tonight?
Yeah,
she
that's
has a
right,
cold and
yeah.
will not be here. So that's everybody.
Give them the road.
Yeah, he's ready to go when you are. Yep,
Okay,
yep.
Good. Okay, yeah, we're on. Good evening. Welcome to this meeting of the Old Kings Highway Committee of the Town of Yarmouth, which is being held in accordance with Chapter 470 of the Acts of 1973 as amended at 7:15 p.m. Monday, March 14th, 2022 at the Yarmouth Town Hall Hearing Room located at 1146 Route 28, South Yarmouth. Also pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, considering certain COVID-19 measures, this meeting is run in a hybrid mode so that we may have contributors that come through on television, if you will. Please be reminded that our committee's main purpose is to review items for appropriateness and setting, and it's the responsibility of the applicant to comply with the regulations of other town boards and departments, including building, conservation, engineering, health, zoning, and the sign inspector. You should also know that there is a 10 calendar day appeal period starting once a decision is filed with the town clerk. Any person aggrieved by our decision tonight can appeal to the Regional Commission of the Old Kings Highway. Our office administrator will be happy to answer any questions you might have with respect to that process. The first item on the agenda this evening is concerned with building a 6-foot cedar fence, which will match some existing fencing on the property, and a 4-foot garden wire fence on the back section of the lot. Lot being 15 Dove Swing Road, sorry. Robert and Clara Galaxian are the owners. And are they here or are they?
Yeah. There's-
Come. You can use the microphone right here on these tables. Good, thank you. You're Robert?
How you doing?
Good. And I might comment that this property is adjacent to the fifth item on the agenda tonight,
Yes,
which is lot number 2, or the address will be 54 West Great Western Road. So I wasn't sure if you knew they were on the agenda, and if they knew you were on the agenda.
Those lot numbers will probably change because 54 encompasses the whole property.
Right, yeah. Good. Okay, so you've already got some cedar board fencing, right?
Yeah, the fence actually went up. I wasn't aware that we were part of this district, so the fence went up, and I apologize, and I submitted some photos for you to show you what went up.
With the there's a gate going.
There's a gate on it. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not sure he submitted this. I think, did you submit this,
Yeah,
Robert? This
right.
is an additional package.
Right, this is your fence, isn't it?
I supplied some photos. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you're commenting on the 4-foot wire support by 1 cedar post to the other side of his property is your neighbor, referring to your neighbor?
No, there's a,
This goes to the neighbor here.
Right. Neighbor attached an extra piece of wire fencing to close the gap, stapled the fence all the way down my fence.
that's probably the neighbor that complained.
Yeah, the
That's what
second,
I'm trying
yeah,
to
the
figure out.
stapled section behind the original one is from an abutter.
Okay, so this is from
Yeah,
from
that's
Robert, and
correct.
these are from an
So the
abutter.
original, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a little issue there.
Yeah, well, the fence that's up there is facing the wrong way, so I assumed it was my fence actually, so I had no idea. So then apparently she saw me attaching something to it, and that's how this kind of started.
Meaning you faced,
She faced the finished side towards her house.
Ah,
So
okay.
there was some confusion.
Mhm. And so to dig in a little further, is that okay, Richard, if I go here with this, or do you want to absorb it first? So, so her comment, I presume the neighbor's comment is there's a cedar post 7 inches from my fence, and you attached an additional piece of wire to cover it, close a gap, and then you stapled that wire all the way down her fence post?
Probably partially down, but yeah, I closed the gap again, assuming that was my fence. I didn't realize it's a couple staples. It wasn't
Right.
meant to be intrusive.
Okay. And then there's a picture of wire fencing with even a couple of coils on it. Is that your fencing?
Yes.
Okay.
How come you did all that? Why did you add that fencing?
Just to kind of close off our property, we do have a dog, so again, I didn't realize it needed to be approved at the time. So, we just have some fencing that we put up as opposed to putting another wooden fence in the back.
Okay.
And then if I go on, then there's some plastic fencing that's stapled to her fence, your neighbor's fence?
There's, yeah, again, there's the bottom of the fence is raised up high, and so I was
Ah.
just trying to kind of block it off.
Keep the dog in.
Yeah, and it can be changed in 2 seconds, so that part.
What color is that?
Might be green, I think. I'd have to.
Orange at least. And then there's a close-up view. Okay. So that plastic fencing is facing you,
Yeah, that's on
But-
on
yeah.
my side, yes. And
but she can see it because of the
'cause it's
gap.
underneath, yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like she's upset that he stapled it to her post.
Yeah.
So this picture, is that fence is that,
That's my,
your
that means she was probably in my yard taking photos.
This is your fence.
No, I guess it's hers faced the
Oh.
wrong way based on your
So she
bylaws.
has
Yeah.
her
Exactly.
good side
That's
facing
me.
her, which is
Exactly.
the other side supposed to face hers.
Exactly.
She's in the wrong too.
Well, well, well. Hmm.
This whole area has been slowly developed over about 15 years.
Sure.
I know when they first started it, it's gradual. And fences go up from time to time and they come before us. Swimming pools go in. I think there's a pool on your property.
There is, yeah.
And so it's slowly been changing. I've known a couple of people actually that live in the area. Okay.
Are there any abutters to this property present? Would you like to address us?
Right up there, love.
Come up to the microphone, please.
Okay.
Okay, Nancy Davidson, 11 Doves Wing Road. I hear the stuff about my fence. It was built in 2012,
Sorry,
10
love,
years
can you
ago.
speak up a little bit?
It was built in 2010, 12, 10 years ago. As far as which way it's facing, I never would have done that way, but Colleen McLaughlin, who was the administrator at that time, said it was perfectly fine as long as the fence was not facing the street. End of story. As far as the cedar fence, it was installed in November 2021. He never asked permission. He knew it was my fence because he said, oh, the fence you put in the wrong way. I didn't address him at that time. I wasn't home when it was put in that day. My husband was recovering from major surgery. On December 30th, we noticed a plywood piece under our fence, went to look, and for the first time I saw the wire fence enclosing the backyard. On December 31st, I noticed a 2-foot by 40-foot long plastic fence stapled to our fence. I spoke with the neighbor. He texted me on January 8th that he would have his fence guy get there as soon as he could. The cedar post, I'm going back to the front. The cedar post is attached to ours in the front. It shouldn't be just attached. Nobody ever asked me if he could do it. The cedar post in the back with the wire fence is 7 inches from us. And then it's some kind of vinyl plastic spray coated wire fence. There's only one cedar post, which is the one next to me. All others are metal posts used for such things as a snow fence. Very cheap. And he also put an additional 7 inches, stapling it the length of my fence post to his one fence post. And not in his application, the 2 feet by 40 feet plastic fence was stapled the length of my fence. Again, none of these were asked for my permission. I've owned the house since 2007, and that's 15 years ago, actually 16, because that's when I bought the lot. Starbuck Construction, which is item number 5 on your list tonight, is now going to be putting in 2 homes. I have no problem with that. But if I had a fence or something like that, I don't think my new neighbors would appreciate it. It's not really, and in back of Bobby, he does have a viable building lot. It's, through the years, the property owner of that property has made 2 applications, one to put in 9 homes and one to put in 7, but nothing's been built yet. But it is a viable lot that somebody could be building a house right in back of him. I think that's all I have to say.
I just have one question. Initially, the fence that you have that you faced in the wrong direction, is that fully on your property?
Yes,
It is.
yes, we had markers put in. I don't have the name of the company, but the whole development had granite markers put in, and the fence is my side of the
Property line?
property line.
So what are you hoping for by way of remedy?
I wanted his fence off my fence. I want him to take down that cheap plastic stuff he stapled all over it. And I don't think that the wire fence is appropriate for the historic district. It's not wood. It's not surrounding his pool like he has the aluminum, the black wrought iron fence. It's cheap and it's poorly put together. I said they have one cedar post. The rest are those, little metal poles like you see with, snow fences.
So he has a containment issue that he needs to address.
Well, he
His
should have he should install a fence that's appropriate to what you approve. Are you going to start approving these wire fences for people to use?
Well, one of the problems is that your fence doesn't go down to the ground at all.
I'm sorry?
There's a large gap at the bottom of your fence. So
Okay.
It doesn't serve any purpose.
Well, over the years, it's been bigger a gap, but when the people put it in, I have a fence on the other side also.
And it's way up in the air.
Well, it's not way up in the air. I mean, it wasn't,
But
it was, since then, there used to be leaves and a bunch of brush and stuff has changed over the years. The rest of the fence, some of it, I can hardly weed whack under it because it's like in the ground. Things settle over years.
well, it's a problem in the sense that it's up in the air by about a foot, which makes it really a 7-foot fence. And we don't permit more than 6 foot. So that's in violation. I mean, by rights, it should be lowered to the ground. And then it'll be a genuine 6-foot fence.
Well, I got permission for the fence. It wasn't, and anyone was, from the board was more than free to look at it over the last 10 years. I'm saying the ground changed. Not maybe as much as it was, there was probably always a gap. But it's like practically dirt back there. So between, blowing leaves and pulling out some shrubs, it's changed. But that doesn't still give him the right to vandalize my fence and staple this plastic stuff all over it.
Well,
That's not an approved material. And it's not his fence. It's still mine.
Nancy, if you're facing his house, your property's to the right?
Yes.
Yeah, so her fence is this short thing. That's her fence.
It
yeah,
raises
but
up.
it continues too, all the way down. It goes to 6 foot and continues.
Okay. Well, maybe she'd be willing to close it up.
Well, that's the
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
that's suggesting that maybe they should take it down, put the posts in deeper and put it back up again. And then there wouldn't have to be any green screening to make the fence come to the bottom.
Sort of
He wouldn't have
suggesting-
paid thousands of dollars for his house if he didn't know what the property lines were.
I don't know what
Nobody
that
would.
means. How would anyone know that that wasn't my?
Because the neighborhood knows and you know it.
The neighborhood know, like, this just makes no sense. It's irrational.
Well, it's customary to have the nice side face
Facing the
his
butter.
property.
I
not
realized that, and
yours.
that was my intention in the beginning until Colleen McLaughlin said I could do it either way. It wasn't facing the street.
Well, that's not that's not the point. The point is whether it's on your property completely. You can do whatever you want with a fence as long as it's on your property.
It's on my
completely.
property.
If it's on your property, then
It
it's your
is.
fence. You have a fence on her fence that's on her property. Even
Sure.
though you thought it was your
Exactly.
fence.
I'm not arguing. I'm happy to go take some of that stuff down. I did not know it was her
Okay,
fence. So
okay.
Okay.
I'm just trying to lay out.
yeah,
the
that's
rules
not an
here,
argument
so-
from my side. It's
So I don't know what your fence also, now Richard was talking about the height of your fence being almost 7 feet, but the fence that's currently there that I assume you put in with the gate,
mhm.
that's also as high as her highest point on the fence. So
No, but I think his point is that in the back, the ground level goes down. So that creates a 7 foot. Where we are, it's the fence I put in was 6 feet. Like
It
exactly.
goes
So,
to the ground.
yeah.
We don't have that picture, so,
There's a grade slope down
That's
then,
this.
is that
Yes.
in the back?
this is about as close as we. Oop.
This is his 6-foot fence.
Yeah, and this is hers
Right.
in the back with
Yeah.
the added wire.
right,
Yeah.
right.
So, and I guess hers is 6 foot back there.
Well, oftentimes when people put fences in, they put them in about a foot from the property line, actually. So it's definitely on your property. And
That's not the case here either.
you think it's right
Probably
on the
property
line.
line, if
It's
anything.
right on
yeah.
the line.
No, the post is,
Would it be worth it to you to get a survey out there and find out exactly what the line is?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind if she turned it the other way, It's like, if we have to go through all this, I don't see why she shouldn't have to, but yeah, maybe I do have to do that.
So the big issues are for Nancy are the wire fence and the fact that you use some of her posts to attach stuff to. And then the third issue is the plastic stuff, the gap, closing the gap. So it almost seems like Nancy needs to solve the gap problem. And then we need to decide about the wire fence. And then he's already suggested that he needs to take his staples out of your posts and so on. So we can eliminate that issue, but then it leaves closing the gap on your fence, which is, as you say, over time, it's settled and so on. And how can we close that gap? And then what do we do about the metal fence? And I'm new to this committee, so I'm going to defer to the committee on the metal
The metal
fence.
fence is out back, right? Is a metal fence going out
Yeah,
back
and
somewhere?
it's not necessarily metal, and the fact that she's calling it cheap, I think is inappropriate as well, because it's not a cheap fence, it's actually a nice fence, but it's set back in the woods so you can.
Like
so
a
you
chain
can't
link?
see
Is it a chain
It's not
link
chain
fence?
link. No, it's, I think I provided a picture. It's like a welded wire, like that has like a coating on
Is
it.
this the one you're talking about, this one?
No,
No, this, take this one, this
I
one.
think it's
Yes,
in
exactly.
Nancy's package. It's not
no,
in,
it's right. Yeah, she has.
Second page of the second.
that's
Yes,
yours?
yep.
Oh, I thought she provided that.
She
picture.
did, but that's his fence.
Okay. And this is another picture of it.
Yeah. I
With the
guess.
wires coiled?
Sure. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. Yeah, I don't know that that's my picture, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think
Okay.
that's.
Well, one suggestion might be to put a couple of horizontal boards on the bottom where this is stapled onto the fence. If you put a couple of horizontal boards here, that would prevent any animals from going through there because the gap is only like 4 inches.
But how does he achieve that, Richard? What-
Well,
Does he attach it
he-
to
Yeah, I
her
can't.
fence
God
again?
forbid I.
he could achieve that if she would allow him to
Allow him to.
put those there. So
Could she do it on her side? I mean, you know, or you know.
she
I
could
don't
put
think
them
she
on
has a
her side,
problem
too.
with the gap, so it's almost like, I think that's on you,
Yeah, no, I mean, that's fine. I'm
Yeah.
looking for solutions. I'm not.
right?
Yeah.
The only
being
thing I can
difficult.
think of is you have your stuff on her fence and you need to get it off. Then you've got a remaining gap of, how big would that gap be? A foot, 2 feet? What is the gap?
For
I know from the ground up,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
what?
It's not even
inches?
not even a foot. From the ground up, that gap is probably over a foot.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty high. And then
It's hard to see.
I
that.
didn't measure it, but I don't think so.
Well, it's around that,
yeah, it's maybe a foot.
needs to be solved.
And then where we started our other fence to where her fence, I wasn't trying to attach anything there. There's maybe like 7 inches, what do you say, 6 or 7 inches, and just the leftover wire fence. We again, thinking that was our fence, secured it to the end to
So you need
contain
to
it.
deal with that.
We can figure something else there. It's not
Yeah.
the end of the world.
Put a post in next to it.
so,
How
once,
amenable would you be to him putting a board from post to post to close that gap on the bottom?
I'd have to see it.
Say it again?
I would have to see it and make sure it's pressure treated, cedar, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, if it were,
ideally,
Yeah, no, it's-
ideally, it would be best on your side.
On her side.
Since the fence is backwards already, the best thing to do that, then you'd have a continuous
Mhm.
board. It'd be vertical and then horizontal, but it would close the whole.
It would be a
gap.
clean look.
Yeah, right, exactly.
How much of underneath the board would you allow?
enough to.
I
cover
don't
the
want it
gap.
to go down to the dirt.
Right.
You
It
don't want
usually
it to go
goes
down
down
to the
to-
dirt?
No, I don't.
Well,
12
do you,
inches at least.
wouldn't you just want a space above the dirt, or do you want, just so it's not in the
Well,
dirt?
like I
and
said, when
rot?
the original fence was all put down, there was enough space, like 2 inches or so. Well, over time between,
True.
gardening and grass and things that happen, I mean, some of it's sitting on the grass, which isn't good because then I can't, like I said, get the grass cut under there with the weed whacker
How
and
big
We're not
is
stuff.
gonna
your
fix
dog?
that.
I mean, he put down 40 feet of fence. You want me to put 40 feet of wood on my fence?
Is that where is the gap the whole 40 feet?
No,
So we're just trying to
Where it's
fix the gap.
necessary.
it's like the last section.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So maybe 10 feet,
No, the sections are 8 feet.
so
These-
8
these
feet.
are- these are 8
It's
foot.
probably 2 or 3 sections that are pretty. It's
Okay.
pretty high up.
No, it's not.
And your 60-pound dog can get under that space?
Probably.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's like the decision of Solomon.
Well, I think that's really the best solution is to put horizontal cedar boards. But it,
Close the gap.
yeah, close the gap that way on,
How about I just put dirt on my side and he can build up his side?
That would be,
Will
I'm
you
more
allow
agreeable
that?
to-
Because he'd be building it up on your fence.
Not on my fence.
And I wouldn't put it up against the fence, but yeah, I mean, I could just. we
she
each-
was, did you volunteer, Nancy, to put the dirt up.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it'll take several yards of probably topsoil you buy.
as long as you leave like 2, 3 inches from the ground.
In some places it'd be a foot.
Well, no, she's saying that she would build it up to make.
It's not 40 feet.
Right.
that
you're just
whole
taking
length.
Care of
Right.
the, whatever gaps need to be taken care of, whether it's a foot or 2 inches, but you don't want to have the wood touching the dirt. But you're
Correct.
closing the gap and leaving a couple inches.
would
If
work.
that happened, then you wouldn't be seeing what he might put attached to your fence.
Well, he doesn't have to.
Why would the
touch
dirt be
Well,
attached to my
depends. The
fence?
Dog can dig through dirt. I mean, you know.
I mean, I'd likely put stuff on my side too, just to make it even. So
Yeah,
I'd
that
be
sounds
fine
like
with
a good solution.
Okay, so
You can put your own posts in too. You know, if it's a short fence going along there.
so now we're dealing with the wire across the back, the wire fence
The
across the
garden
back.
fencing, yeah.
Stapled to her fence.
Right.
He's gonna fix that.
I'll
though.
take. I
You
take
would
the
take
staples
that
out.
off and then put an appropriate fence on and then put backfill dirt on the other side.
Are we accepting the wire garden fencing?
Well, this one I wouldn't accept.
No, and I think we've solved
But
the
the one in the
plastic.
back is different
Yeah.
structure completely,
Yeah.
different material.
So I'm sorry, I'm a little confused about this picture. So this post here, is that one you put in?
Yes.
And the gap you closed is the gap between the post you put in and that's her fence. Is that right?
Yeah. So the gap in between there, that's just what the wire is then covering
Closing.
and stapled to her fence. Which again, I'll remove that wire.
Well, theoretically, you'd move the post further over,
Yeah,
closer to the
exactly. Or
fence.
block it some other way. Yes, absolutely.
So you don't want anything attached to your fence, your posts at all, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And if you're gonna, you know what, if you're gonna approve that fence in the back, then have them just put that chicken wire up along my fence and don't even bother with the dirt. Not on my fence, but just make more little of those snow metal things.
What are you saying, Nancy? To close the gap? Use
close the
chicken
gap.
wire
Use
Yeah.
the same fencing, this type
Oh.
of fencing.
It's just
or garden fencing?
If you're gonna approve that fence,
Okay. If
We
we're going
just-
to approve the garden fencing.
then he should just continue the garden fence adjacent to mine and let it in without touching my fence.
Well, that might be tricky.
It
Might
shouldn't
be,
be
the dirt might be a
necessary.
better
Yeah,
solution.
the dirt is,
Yeah.
yeah, I think they should get a few yards of dirt.
Well, I also don't think he has an exit from that fence either in case something had to get out of the backyard.
There's a gate, isn't there?
I do. Yeah. There's
That's a gate.
There's a gate in the front.
a gate in the back.
Which is at the back of the house, right?
Yes.
His fence runs along the back of his house. on
The wire
side,
fence is the back of his fence,
The rear property line.
back of his yard. The cedar fence with the gate is in the front.
Well, no, it's off the back. Well, I see what you're saying, but it's not attached to the front of the house. It's attached to the back of the house, but as it's in the front of the property, the front of the backyard.
I'm just saying that whole length of his yard, which is kind of like 100 something, maybe 150 feet. There's no way to get out
In the back.
in the back.
Why would you need
I
to
have-
get out?
I have 3
You need
gates
to.
actually.
You
throughout the
do?
Back. Yes.
I'm not
There's a
even
gate
sure
on
you
either side
have
of
to
my house
have
and a gate in the
egress.
There's an
back.
obvious egress right here, right in the
I
front.
don't think you have to have a rear egress and a front.
Well, I don't know that.
Yeah,
I'm
so I
just
think
pointing it out.
I don't think you have to
It's not
provide a gate.
necessary. It just, you have to put up sufficient number of poles to hold the material.
Mhm.
So they're not going to be 20 feet apart. It'd be more like 8 feet apart.
So speaking of the material, how do we feel about the material?
Meaning the garden gate,
Yes.
the garden fence, beg your pardon.
Yeah, I think we've got a solution for the cedar fence that you're agreeable to. And
We've approved of like black chain link fences. That frequently comes up when it's up against the wooded area, like yours is in this case. And often it seems like they end up being around the back part of a swimming pool, which you have here. So I don't think we've ever approved of a fence of this type.
It's green, you say?
Black, it could be black or it's a dark color. I mean, it's nicer than a chain link fence. It's, it's just,
Right. And the lot behind you is not developed?
no.
Well, it's going to be.
Yeah,
Maybe, I don't know.
okay. Immaterial, okay.
If you approve this, would you be putting it in your rules that you approve this to people that would know?
How do you feel about chain link?
I thought this looked nicer actually. So I
Is this the kind of fence that goes on the green post that has the little hook that you hook
Yeah.
the fence onto? Is that the kind of fence you're
Probably.
talking
Yeah.
about?
I think-
Yes.
Yeah, maybe.
Do you have those green posts that have the multiple little attachment
Posts-
things?
Yeah, there's posts that are holding up the fence. Yep.
I think the chain link fence usually have a post horizontally at the top too, which makes it more rigid.
Well, a chain link is the round
Is
post with the
rigid.
round top, and
Right.
these are those metal flat posts
I'm
that
familiar
have the
with
little
them.
hooks on them that you hook the fence
Right,
onto.
but there's nothing in between. So if there was 8 feet between posts, the thing could flop either way, or if somebody went to jump over it, they would, because it's only 4 foot tall.
Right, I think, how many posts do you have? Do you only have it hooked on either end, or do you have some
No, there's posts throughout the. yeah.
multiple, like every
Yeah, yeah.
8 feet?
Yep.
You can't see them in any of these pictures.
Yeah, because it's a long fence.
To me, what's in his backyard?
Yeah, it's not
doesn't
seen
matter
by
really.
anyone
I mean,
else.
the issue is the fence with his fence all over it, that's on her property, that he needs to remove, and you need to figure out a way to close the gap.
Sure.
And I think you have under your new fence, I see cinder blocks or something, little
Cobble,
cobblestone.
granite
I
Bubbles.
just thrown
Yes.
those under. Yeah.
So I know that they have like 12-inch by 8-inch by 4-inch bigger cobblestones. That it seems to me you could close the gap by using them. Would you have an objection to him using cement cobblestones on his side to close that gap?
No.
Because they would abut your fence, which is on your property.
As long as they aren't,
You know what I'm
Well,
talking about?
okay,
Using the
I
cobbles, the
do.
big ones?
Yep.
And you could maybe use 2 high.
Yeah.
It would take a lot of them.
Yeah.
Who knows? I don't know how many, but I think it beats the fence stapled to her fence.
Sure.
It is her property. She's allowing this way of fixing it,
Sure.
which I think is reasonable. You'd have a nice little cobblestone shelf like on the side of the
No, I
fence,
understand what you're saying.
on his side,
on his side.
because I have some sprinklers very close to the fence and I don't want them covered up.
They're on your side of the fence though, right?
Oh, yeah, my
Yeah,
sprinkler
okay.
heads.
So he would never get to your sprinklers because he's on the other side of the fence.
Yeah, you can put them on there.
So are you amenable to that? If he used this solution of those larger cobblestones along the fence?
Yeah.
You would be. Are you amenable to that?
That's fine. Yes, that's fine.
I mean, will that solve your problem? I think it would.
That bottom piece, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
As far as the wire, the garden wire fencing, I'm kind of, from my feelings, that it's not objectionable to me.
I agree.
Across the back.
Yeah.
You're talking about in the backyard. Yeah, yeah, that's a,
And you don't really see it, correct?
Right.
It's not a,
No, I didn't even know it
Eyesore
was
for
there
you.
until I saw the other plywood piece and then whatever.
you don't want it attached to any of your fencing.
I don't want
or
it attached
posts, I
to my
got that.
fence.
But as far as the,
aesthetics.
how it look, the aesthetics, thank you. You really don't see it, so it's a mood issue from that standpoint.
It's still,
That's across the back we're talking about.
oh, the fence about, it's just totally cheap and anyone who lives back there would really, I don't think
But that's
like
not
it.
you though, right?
No, I suppose it's not me living back
Okay.
there.
And if it's black or green, it from your vantage point, and it's in the woods, isn't it? Is it sort of in front of the
Yeah,
trees?
exactly. It's
It seems to me it would kind of blend in pretty well, but again, it's in the back of his yard. So the issue for us is the fence on your property with your stuff on it, remove that, put in your little cement barrier.
As long as it's not now leaning against my fence.
No, I mean, it wouldn't have
I
to
think
lean.
he
He could put
understands.
it 2 inches from your fence
Could we
because
go
his
back to the
dog,
dirt then? I mean, like.
yeah, I mean, you could leave it a gap.
Yep.
An inch or two, not touching her fence. Your dog could not move those. They're not cinder blocks. They're the
No,
big
no,
cobblestones.
yeah, cobblestones, yeah. I know what you're talking
I think they're like $1.30 a piece. Yeah.
So anyway, we all clear on what the plan going forward is?
I think-
Are you clear on what the plan going forward is?
He's taking the plastic black.
Nothing will be attached to your fence.
Not-
That's all going to be
What about the
removed.
front cedar part?
Well, the what?
Between the poles, the little, closing the gap between the poles. He's gonna.
Well, he's going to
move-
take the fencing off of my post.
Yeah,
Who put that post there? Did you put a separate post there?
Well, there's a post to the fence. He put in a separate wooden fence,
And
the
you
only
put the
wooden.
separate post in and put a wire on it to close that gap?
Yeah,
So you put the second post in?
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that, whose property is that post on?
mine.
Yours?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, and then I think the last part that she mentioned is the cedar fence, the 6-foot cedar fence in the front. One side is secured to her fence, again, because I didn't realize it was hers. So I think that's the last piece that we need to figure out.
Okay.
oh, I thought we did figure that out.
It's this part here.
Yeah. I thought you were gonna move your post. So there's a little cement block, which is obviously a property marker.
Is that the? part?
That's the property marker. That's the back. I'm talking about the fence in the front now.
So,
Yeah.
like,
Oh, okay.
That was
I
like the
thought-
first page of the pictures I gave you.
Yeah, the
This
cedar fence
This one here.
Right.
is secured to my garage and then across to the other side of to the fence.
So
Right.
it's
So
attached to the post of her fence.
Yes.
there's no gap or anything. You
No,
just
but
need to
no, it's-
detach
No,
it.
no, but this post
Yeah.
is fenced into that post, which is her post. So she wants the fence not
Right. Are
into
you
her
sure?
post. That's what she's saying.
Okay,
It's
well,
an
he's gonna
easy-
fix
it's
it.
an easy mistake because
How come you just didn't use one of the green
Yeah,
posts that go with that
along.
fence? Why did you put a cedar post
Yeah.
there?
you would.
And then
if
why did you put it
just
where it is? So you ended up with an
Moved
8-foot
in.
gap?
and You saw the fence.
Just,
done that
I don't
way,
know, it
you
just
think the fence is-
hindsight, I
Right, you
guess.
are.
A lapse.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
exactly.
So it seems to me that the
Can I
post
try a
that goes
motion
with that
the
fence would be far less
contingencies?
obtrusive
Yeah.
than this cedar post.
ready for
And you
us.
could put that post
Poster.
2 inches off her fence like you're putting the cedar blocks.
No, I can handle that.
Can I
Alright.
try a motion and see if this
Yeah, let's
covers it
go.
all?
I'm for that.
So I move to approve the application from Robert and Carla Callahan,
Callahan, silence.
Callahan, as appropriate upon contingencies, those contingencies being that all of the use of Nancy Davison's poles and property is discontinued, corrected, that the concrete blocks are used to satisfy a gap and the plastic is removed. And really that's
Just
it.
remove
So,
the post in the back and that's it.
yeah, so those two
Are you
contingencies.
okay with that
Mhm.
as we wrote?
Well, I
it?
don't like the fence, but it's not for me to decide.
All right. Then are you moving to approve?
Mhm.
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Just one more thing. How long does he have to do all this to
How
be
long does he
completed?
have to do all this?
To
I
have it
don't know.
completed.
Are you gainfully employed?
I am,
Are you doing this on the weekends and evenings and whatever?
I am, yes.
Then I think a reasonable would be probably
June
by the end of
1st.
April.
Okay,
Is that okay with you?
That works.
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. We'll let that go for now.
Lisa, did you get those?
You got all that, Lisa?
So
Okay.
you can check next month.
Right, I won't remember next month.
Okay.
Just shows you. All right.
This whole thing is smaller. Yeah. Next item is to replace several windows, exterior doors, to add a couple of dormers, and relocate the main entrance to the house, and put in a new shed at 97 Pheasant Cove Circle. Nora Gori is the owner. Catalyst Architects, Tim Sawyer is
Yes.
here tonight as the agent. Good. It's a big project,
It's got a little meat on the bone.
limited floor space on the lot.
There is very limited. This project definitely could not happen today, just due to its proximity to the resource areas. I'm surprised it was even done back in the 70s, honestly, but it was properly permitted back in that time. And we've been through conservation for this project and gotten approval because we knew how sensitive it was. And even just the stoops that were new, we wanted to make sure they were okay with that.
Yeah, good.
So just to give you an overview of what the project is, basically the main body of the house is being completely renovated. So all the main level windows are being replaced, and for the most part in different locations. There's an existing garage that is being incorporated as living space. It's going to be a kitchen and a breakfast area. That is on the southern end of the house. So it's on this end.
Right.
The second floor, there's an existing dormer off the back currently, but it's very small so far as headroom, and the way it was added on to the original house, it doesn't feel appropriate in any way, and it doesn't really help them for a second floor space. So we're going to do new dormers off the back and the front to give them proper living space on the second floor. The windmill element, we're not proposing any modifications to. That's staying as is as an element of the house. The main entry, which is currently located between the windmill and the main body of the house, it's kind of tucked around the side. It really doesn't have an entry presence. We're moving that down to where you can see it now. With a small pergola over the entry just to give it a little bit more of a presence. And that's also the side of the property where the driveway is. So they have a little bit easier access into the house.
That's good.
So they're gonna just they're not gonna have a garage anymore.
Correct. It was a fairly small one-car garage anyway, so it wasn't super useful. More useful as living space.
I like it. I think it looks really nice.
Yeah, changes are good.
Pergola? What do you have?
Just,
Just the 3D rendering. It's a fairly simple white pergola structure.
I don't think this is it.
That's it. That's Worth Lane, I think.
Do you have pictures of the pergola or?
The rendering of the pergola is right here. It's a very simple 4x4 posts. Actually, 4x4 posts.
Posts here,
It's got about a 5
The
foot
pergola
square foot
top, that
footprint.
which would come out?
yeah. Not
Okay.
that much.
Okay.
It's short.
It's just sitting right over the stoop, which is approximately 4 feet by 5
You
feet.
just can't
It
see it on
comes
that.
out like 5 foot.
Or this one.
It probably comes out about 4 feet. It's not much, just enough to make the landing in the
I
front.
think that adds dimensionality
Right.
to the front facade. It's a nice addition.
Did they want that, or did you suggest that because you want to grow stuff up around it, or because it's not going to do much for the rain?
No, it's not. I actually suggested it to him as just kind of an element, again, to give the entry a little bit of presence
Yeah.
without introducing another roof element, which I
Okay.
thought the
All right.
front was going to get a little busy with that.
Gotcha.
And she kind of was drawn to it and liked it. I think it's very likely she could have something growing on it.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised at all. which
They've
would be
lost their
nice.
garage, right?
Yes.
So there's no way to get into the house other than through that door if it's raining.
On the far end where the
Windmill is.
existing, yes.
Yeah,
So
they're keeping this one.
It's a long way around.
on the back side of the existing garage, but now living space, we do have a man door back there.
Which is right there.
Right.
Upper right.
There's one on the side, one at the rear.
Mhm.
There's actually one here currently for the garage, but we're introducing one on the side as well.
And the shed is this is the.
There's a cut sheet of the shed. So it's a small gardener shed
Right.
of, I think,
Will you match the trim to the
yes,
shutters?
it is
Okay.
green. And
Mhm.
I was hoping you would be drawn too much to that. The, actually, the trim will be white and the,
On the shed.
correct.
Okay.
And the trim on the house will be white as it is today.
Okay.
So that shed's not there currently. That's just
No,
a picture of
that's
one
just a
in another
picture.
location. Okay.
But that is the exact same shed they're getting with the glass and the doors and the trim and the cedar siding. It'll just be a white trim
And
What is
green,
it?
green doors. Right?
and green doors,
Well, are the doors green?
No.
Oh, what color are the doors?
white.
Oh, so everything's, okay, great.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Perfect.
What size, what are the dimensions of this thing?
Of the shed?
Yeah,
6 by
I
10.
happen to know what people put in sheds and you're not going to get more than a lawnmower in this.
That's about all they are planning to put in.
That's all they wanted.
by
She has purchased it, but it is not at the site yet.
It is, okay.
So
It's only
she
60
does
square feet.
intend to get that one. It's 6 by 10, I believe.
Is it 6 by 10? Okay.
Yes, 6 by 10.
These measurements are deceiving.
It'd be nice
Okay,
when it's
then.
got the doors open. It's a she shed for the first year. And then you put stuff away and it's no longer a she shed because now it's full of junk.
Maybe she likes her junk. Maybe she likes it.
Again, it's limited space. Where you're putting the shed, you don't have room for anything much bigger than that.
Exactly. And quite honestly, conservation would have an issue if we had anything more substantial. We're not increasing the footprint of the house at all, other than the stoops at the entrances and the new entrance and then locating the shed. But it's just a place to put
I like it.
basically a
I like it too.
lawnmower and some
Yeah,
yard
When I
tools.
saw a 6 by 10 shed, I said, wow, that's too small. Then I looked at the plot plan, said, no wonder.
You gotta work with what you have.
I move to approve.
I'll second. Very creative solutions.
Yeah. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
Aye.
very good design.
Yes.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
So are you the architect or the builder?
Your card.
Thank you.
Tim, if you would, is, we have a document that said you're gonna build it as planned. If you can make changes, let us know in advance. So, I have a pen. if you need. I'll sign there and put the date in. Thanks. Okay.
don't have any plans for this, do we? I didn't get any plans anyways.
with the 24 law.
Yeah, I should wait until you announce it. Anyway. Sorry, jumping the gun.
Sure, this one.
Okay.
You don't have one down there?
No.
I have one. I'm sorry, I have one. Sure.
Oh, they've already got theirs open.
I really saw it on the internet.
So they're adding a house and a garage. It's not just the addition.
The next item is concerned with building a two-car garage, which will be adjacent to a house. The house will get 8 feet added to the side. So it'll be continuous in the house and the garage. At 24 Wharf Lane. Donna Rowney is the owner. And we have Donna here tonight. And your colleague? Your name for the record, sir?
Donald Patch, her husband.
Okay.
So glad you're preserving the rhododendron. If you can.
Well, we're gonna try.
Yeah.
Take all those things.
Good. You don't met me yet. Right,
We can practice here and then we'll let you know.
but I won't touch your fence.
These aren't even.
We're just the butters on the other side. So it's instead of a 3/4 cape, you're moving to a full cape.
Yes.
So the front plane of the garage, the front facade is on the same plane as the main house?
It's dropped down about 2 feet.
No, I'm talking about distance from the street, distance from Wharf Lane. Is it on the, is it on one
No, it's 6
continuous
feet.
plane?
No, it's 6 feet closer to the street. So it.
It's
juts
actually
out.
projecting toward the street?
Yes, by 6 feet? Yeah.
You can see that in the right view and the left view, side view.
Right, the right view shows it, the side of the house, how it step out.
Why did you decide on that?
Why did I decide on what, having a step
Having the
forward?
garage project in front of the principal house?
Because in the back bedroom, I would lose, I wanted to do the 2 windows in the corner, and I would lose way too much sun if it goes back.
Mm.
Does that make sense? If
The
it's
right- the right
flush,
side, you're talking about the right side view?
Yes,
yes,
that one.
yes.
Okay.
If it's flush, I lose,
The window.
I'm already gonna lose 2 windows on that side.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm gonna lose a lot of the sunlight, especially in that back. And that's where most of the sun comes in. So I wanted.
Garage is going to be the
forward.
most prominent feature of the house now.
I'll make it look nice.
There is also the small section on the front view to the left, the small section, that is stepped back about 6 feet. We're going to architecturally, we'll go with the house. There's a step back on
I
that.
think it would be nice if they were both stepped back.
Step back and the house comes out.
Yeah, have the main house be the prominent feature as you're seeing it from Wharf Lane.
You'll lose that.
I understand that. Can't always get what you want.
Nope, can't always get what you want. Maybe a planting, you know? Once you get a nice planting in there, you won't notice. so
I
much.
find that very awkward visually. I have trouble with it.
Oh, not that bad.
You're showing the windows are going to be 6/9 now?
No, the same as what they are. I said they're 8/12 cottage windows.
8
We're
over
gonna keep
12.
that all on the first floor.
I'm sorry, 8/12.
Yeah. That's cottage windows. That's what we have now.
Yeah.
It's gonna stay the same.
That's
And
what
the
you have
upstairs are
now.
8/8. That's gonna stay the same.
Right. And the garage addition has the doors open in the back, a couple of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. For the big lawnmower.
Uh-huh. And then a porch, covered porch. What's your access to the porch?
What's the access to the porch from the outside?
Yeah, or
In the
from the
right view,
inside.
in the right view, you can see the door to the porch.
It's way
Oh,
down
yeah,
there.
gotcha. So you'd walk around.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
And you'll have a little patio, I presume, that would wrap around.
probably,
And
yes.
it's,
That goes
and
into the
that's-
mudroom.
yeah.
I'm looking at your house from the sky.
Mhm.
You said the left side is 6 feet back. 6 feet recessed from the front of the house. Looks like it's at least 6 feet
At
back.
least that, yes. The where the bulkhead is, I don't know if you can see the.
You got
bulkhead.
that little
Yeah.
side, which is 6 feet in the back
Yes,
from the front of your house.
yes.
And then this garage
We're gonna
is
go,
going to be 6 feet in front
yes.
of the house. So your house is going to look like steps from the
Yes, sir.
air.
Yeah.
Not that it matters from the air.
So if you had the garage step back 6 feet, why wouldn't you be able to gain another window on the right side at the front of the house? Why wouldn't that
Oh,
be a
because
trade-off?
Those are 2 bedrooms and downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
So the bedroom in the front gets all the afternoon sun. And the bedroom in the back is morning. So when we.
On the
step it
same side,
forward,
on the right side of the house?
When we put when we put the garage forward, if we put it backward, it would I'd lose all the sun
In that window.
in, yeah, in that
Why
window.
wouldn't you gain it in the window in the front, on the front side of the right
She doesn't
elevation?
need it.
Yeah.
She's got a window up there.
Yeah,
Looks like there's one existing window and you're going to add a new one in the back
yes.
of the second bedroom. So those 2 windows would give you enough light. So
Yes.
that's not going to allow light into her house.
Well, she's talking about this window here.
Yeah, so if you move this back.
That's
and
what
lose
I
that-
said. Why wouldn't you gain it on the front?
This one and this one.
Did you look at all about at canting the garage a little bit so the house runs this way? I don't know.
Like diagonal?
Yeah,
I don't think there was enough room.
property line issues, I figured, yeah. Okay. Yep,
That was our original first view at it, trying to come in from the garage on the side.
gotcha. Yeah, that's pretty standard.
Mhm. Just believe me, I didn't like the garage doors in the front, but
Yeah,
You do, or you don't.
that
You
doesn't,
do, or you don't.
not really. But we don't have enough room to do the
I'd rather have it
turn.
on the side, but you don't have enough room.
and no shutters existed, so you'll stay with that. Oh, no, I'm sorry, you have shutters on the front now.
The drawing has it.
The drawing
Drawing has
has
it?
it. I don't have them.
You're not going to do them, okay.
No, I took them down. I couldn't repair them. I still have them. They're
Yeah.
the originals.
Mm-hmm.
They need repair. Just didn't get around to putting them back.
So you're going to gain a window to the right of the front door by adding 8 feet to the house.
Yes,
So you're going to have 2 windows equally on each side of the door.
yes.
And
2 and 2. And then in the back, it will be like the corner. So it'd be like a corner.
yeah, I mean, I see what
2
you're saying. If
windows.
you move it back, you lose that window that goes into your house because the windows in the garage don't affect the sun in your house, correct?
Right, right.
Where this is.
Well, it sounds like they're a little bit between a rock and a hard place with the property line and the window configuration inside. So,
Trying to follow your logic on the sun. We're talking about the right side of the house, the side that faces 6A.
Yes.
So if you were to move the garage back, so the front facade of the garage was in line with
The side of the
the
house.
the other side of the
The
house,
6-foot setback.
you'd gain a window
In the
on the front
You have a
right
window
side
in
of
corner.
that facade, right?
Mhm.
Why isn't that a trade-off?
Because it's a different room.
I understand it's a different room, but it's also a bedroom, right?
She said
You
she
don't
doesn't need
want
more.
sunlight in that bedroom?
Not too much.
She gets
Got it.
enough
Well,
there. She said she
yeah.
gets enough in that bedroom and not.
Nothing like getting woken up in the morning when the sun is
I don't
pouring
see what the
in
difference is.
window.
You got two bedrooms on the same side of the house.
Well,
two
you wouldn't
with a
have any
on each
window
side.
in
I
that
don't
back
see any
bedroom,
Yeah, you wouldn't
right?
have any window in that room then if you
There's
take that
two.
away, right? Is that correct?
No, there's two windows
yes.
looking out the
You've
backyard.
you got the thing attached on the back there.
Right, there'll be, right, so there's the old window. That's on this porch that is being built. And
Okay.
so there's that one. And then we're gonna put the other one, right?
Because you're
But
setting
there's-
it
But there's
forward.
the porch roof
Mm.
is gonna block a lot of that as
Oh,
well.
that's true.
So then
I think
And
your answer was, there is a window on that side currently where the garage is going, yes.
Yeah,
Right.
so it's not like you would, yeah, you'll have one at least.
We could add another one too. So we just-
Well,
Get one either way.
I'm okay.
and
with
I
it.
like to stand in my kitchen and look out and see all that light in that room. Because that abuts a kitchen.
I don't know what else they can do.
I think it's fine. I had gone over this meticulously at home.
Tried to come up with a solution yourself.
No,
I don't
I
like
think
this,
it's
this,
fine.
and this.
No,
But
Do you want me to
I
make that?
understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
about that.
All right, I move to approve 24 Wharf Lane.
as is.
Yes.
We have a second? Cindy?
Pressure's on.
Does everybody understand the plans?
Yeah, I understand the plan.
Mhm.
I just don't see a solution if,
I don't think there's,
can't it?
I don't think there's a problem that needs to get a solution.
Well, that's your opinion. You're entitled to it.
Designed a lot of houses.
I'm sure you have. You didn't design this one.
I don't like it coming forward 6 feet with the other one going back 6 feet, but I get what you're saying about your sunlight in your room.
Mhm.
It's your house.
But the other thing, the
You're the one that
house
has to
is
like it,
88 feet.
as long as
off
it
the
meets
road.
the criteria
It's not
of
like it's,
what we
the
do here.
garage is gonna be.
I drive
up
up
to
down that road every day,
I
Richard.
know.
I know the house very
I know
well.
there's across the
You're
street,
not gonna
that's the
swing
problem.
me. I don't like it.
He's in a butter?
Yeah.
No,
Not
not,
in the
not
butter.
directly.
Speaking of which,
I'm
are
not
there
in a
any
butter,
Not
but
quite
I'm
in a
close
butter, but
by.
close
So,
enough.
are there
there
any
any
butters here,
abutters?
by the way? Okay, I guess we should be asking that.
Yeah.
All right, did somebody move? Did you
We
move?
had a
did move.
motion.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor of
Aye.
accepting this as is, as designed?
Oh, did I jump the gun?
No?
Okay, aye.
Nay.
Aye.
Aye.
Same.
So
So 3 ayes.
the ayes should sign.
Come on up. He's going to have you sign something.
Sign here. It says you're gonna design, you're gonna build it as designed. You're gonna make changes, but it's not anything. Beautiful.
Good luck. Thank you.
Got a fancy signature.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, the next item is concerned with installing 15 370 watt roof mounted solar panels at 72 Mayflower Terrace. Matthew Clark is the owner and Solar Rising LLC is the agent, and I believe they are on the Zoom. Solar Rising, and not sure who.
May just be him. So
Yeah, good evening, board. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, good.
All right, Neil from Solar Rising, representing homeowners at 72 Mayflower Terrace. And yes, we're looking to install 15 solar modules. Both the roofs we'll be using are very flat pitched. The house is set back from the main road quite a ways. The majority of the array is on the back of the house. There are a few modules on the front, but with the flat pitched roof, it's, I would view it as minimally visible.
I have one question for you, Neil. Is your cousin the star basketball player on Duke's team?
I have not figured out my bloodline to him yet.
Keep to
There aren't that many Holmgrens around.
There aren't. The former Packers coach, Mike Holmgren, looks very similar to my uncle. So we've pretty much traced that one down, but I can't confirm or deny my relation to the Duke basketball player.
Just go with it. Say yes.
Sure.
That's good. Good luck.
Thanks.
So I agree that the roof pitch is quite shallow.
Yeah.
And I'm
Could we ask if there are any abutters present first? Okay.
And,
Go
and
ahead.
just one other question. What's your name, Neil?
Neil,
Yes.
Neil, I'm just looking at the picture and you've got, let's see, 9 on the back of that flat roof and 6 on the front. But you've got a sort of a roof next to the one with the 9. Why wouldn't you consider that roof?
We did actually. We could only fit 5, and we'd be happy to put 5 on there and then try to fit 1 either on the front or somewhere else. The dimensions of the panels and way they came into the valley, as a builder, I was just uncomfortable with the potential of snow building up with the array in the valley there. So we chose just to consolidate it as 2 blocks for aesthetics as opposed to having it on a 3rd roof. If the board would rather have it split up, then we're happy to do so.
I think it's good. And the fact that, it's a shallow pitch. And so it really doesn't come into the picture in terms of efficiency. It might just as well be a flat roof or, 10-inch pitch, but unless you were getting into a 10 on 12 or something, it wouldn't really matter. So, and it's so flat, you're not going to see it unless you're a bird.
Yeah.
That was kind of our philosophy on it. Luckily, this project did have such a shallow roof that the visual impact is very minimal.
Good, okay.
Any other questions? I'm gonna move to approve.
So with a roof pitch that shallow, and you're talking about snow in the valleys, but if the roof is pretty flat, will they be covered with snow in the wintertime after a snowstorm until it melts off?
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know enough about solar panels to know how they work with snow.
It needs to melt and it melts from the sun, but it also, the solar panels themselves create heat. Once they get any kind of sun, they start creating heat. So they help melt it. But yeah, I mean, that's a problem in the north. We have snow. Solar panels are not going to produce while it's snowing.
That is correct, yes.
Thank you.
So I move to approve the solar panel installation at 72 Mayflower Terrace as presented.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
good.
All right.
Yes, Neil. Good
Thank
luck
you
with-
very much for your time, board.
You're welcome.
Take care.
Nancy, you're still here.
That she's next.
Just curious, so that you're
She's a neighbor.
She's
to the
next.
and a
construction.
butter.
Oh, I don't have a problem. I just want to hear
Oh, great.
Usually people fly out of here as fast as they can. All right.
The next item is concerned with construction of a one-family house, 1725 square feet at 54 Great Western Road, West Great Western Road. And that's Starbuck Construction is the owner, and Renato Mello is the agent. So they're both on the tube, I guess.
Mhm.
Renato Mello is. So if we get her talking, see if we got a proper connection.
There.
Okay.
Good evening, board.
We hear you.
Good.
I'm a bit nervous, just to let you guys know. It's my first time.
You're nervous.
So the roof is pewter wood,
Correct.
asphalt shingles. I assume architectural design.
That is correct. Landmark will be the brand.
And cedar shingles.
Yep. White cedar shingles, SBC.
Yep.
Then it'd be exact painted white trim with with Pella windows, thermal doors. And we are considering for this one 6/1.
Windows are white. The
Correct.
trim is White,
Correct.
Isaac. Am I reading this deck size correctly? It says 3 feet by 10 feet.
Yes, the back, it's not a big deck in the back, Mr. Chairman. It's just a small kind of landing, then there's just 2 steps down. So there's just a small, pretty much a small deck, like you said, 3 by 10, come out of a slider from the family room, and then you just have a couple steps down. We're debating if we could put a patio there.
So it's basically just 1 step down from there.
That is
So-
correct.
Yeah.
Well, depending on the grade, Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure if it'll be 1 or 2 steps, but it'll be a step down from the sliding door out of the family, just a 3 by 10, landing. And then you have a step or 2, depending on the grade.
Good.
So it's an L shape.
Yeah,
Garage is the,
correct. Garage is facing, yep, the front. Then we'll have the driveway
uh-huh.
from the street, yep.
The drawings are showing 6/1 windows.
Yes. Are you opposed to that?
No, that's all right.
Okay. I know, no, I'm just questioning because I know some historic, sometimes,
It depends on
Um,
the design and it would go all right here.
okay. I used to sell windows, so I know that some towns are really, really complicated when it comes to windows.
Right.
Is the dormer, and is it functional?
The windows are not going to be functional. We are planning to do some of a cathedral ceiling in that,
Ah,
in that living area.
okay,
So, that you still have the light coming in,
right,
but the windows would be fixed. It will not be operable.
right. And there's no room up there. That's just a,
Yeah.
just create,
We don't want any homeowners to do on the step ladder to try to open the window.
Yeah, it will give you more light in the room. and-
yeah.
We like the design. We think it's a cute house, serves, hopefully it serves family from Cape.
And are you doing the sort of shallow windows on the both of the side views to give you more wall space, if you will?
Shallow. Oh, you mean the awning windows on the sides? Yes, it's bedrooms. So we like to put the windows, it's one of my favorite things in style, to put those awning windows beneath the headboard of the bed.
Yeah.
Plus the awning windows, you can operate them, you can open them when it rains and the water will not come in. And I just think that's a cool feature that you can have your windows, in a nice spring day, night, have your windows open.
I have those windows, but I have bookcases under them.
Yeah,
So it's a nice,
yeah.
the
Give
bookcases.
you
Yeah.
so much wall space with windows, so it's good to have both. And you got your rear egress.
Yes.
It's a spec house, yes?
Yes.
I move to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, guys.
You're welcome. Good luck with the project.
I appreciate it. And you guys will see me in the next one. Have a good night.
Aye.
Thank you.
Yes. Ooh, oh, whoops.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Are
What
you
was
in
your
a butter?
question?
Yes, I'm a butter.
What's your question?
Is he with you?
No,
We got two abutters.
the other side.
Not on this one.
Did you have
Are
a
you in a butter
question?
for this last one? Can you move forward here? Yeah,
Yes, I'm a butter for number 5.
with the one we just did?
yeah, that's the one we just did.
So
Sorry, I.
he's still there?
Yes.
Are you, can
I'm
you?
still here. I'm still here.
Oh, great. I had a couple questions on it. First off, I've learned more about fences tonight than I cared to. And actually, after the discussion, there's a couple of questions there on that. But the first one was, with the information that's been provided so far, I don't know what the elevations are going to look like on that property. And if you look at the way the property's set up, it actually pertains more to lot number 3 than lot number 2, which runs right behind our property. That's the lowest spot in that region, in that area. It drops about 40 feet, I would estimate, from the road height down to the lowest point, and comes back up again. So I wanted to know if we're going to be able to see what the finished elevations would look like, because I'm a little bit concerned about how the drainage will work and whether or not there would be water coming into the yard or coming off of that driveway and potential erosion problems.
Is that
Are
building?
you talking about runoff and subsidence?
Yes.
That would be
So-
building.
Yeah,
What is this fellow's name?
It's Renato. I'm right here. To be honest with you, I don't know that what would the final grade would be in the final elevation. But we're not going to do it, or we're not going to build a house. We don't want water to also come in towards our house or towards our neighbors as well. So we'll fit, if we have to bring in fill, we'll have to bring in fill.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's something that the building.
yeah,
department
that
will
doesn't
be
really fall
following.
within our jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I think the town codes are, if I'm reading them right, I'm not an expert on these, it's like a maximum of 4-foot fill from the natural grade. There's about 30 feet of width on that road. And I think there's a maximum of a 2-foot retaining wall that can go in. So I have no issues with them putting a road in as is if it comes in. And I think there's plenty of room for the road to come down and then come back up to the property, which would most likely be set back.
Yeah,
I just would like to know what those grades are, because runoff coming into the yard is not a matter of just Mother Nature, right?
Yeah.
It depends on how you grade that, and depending how that sets up, it could create an erosion.
yeah,
problem
it's a
if they
real
do.
concern, but it's not a concern of ours. We don't deal with
Department,
that.
though, you can definitely stop by town hall and check in with the building department.
Okay.
Did
because
you have
they're
a,
gonna have
did
to
you
approve
said you had a
everything.
second question?
Second question is on the, so the other thing that we wanted to do, I wanted to meet the owners of the property, the folks that are gonna be building on it, and we'll most likely, because of the way the driveway comes up directly against the back of the yard, want to put a privacy fence up there, which would be very similar. We would probably match the style of Nancy's fence, since there's already one in there. It's already facing us. So putting another fence in there would look appropriate. But I can tell you, after listening to the last discussion, it is about 8 inches up off the ground. So the fence is probably 6'8" in the back, and I'm gonna have to put a new fence in, and I don't want to end up a year from now with a fence that's too high and people putting a house in that's complaining. So I'm trying to figure out what we would need to do to get a fence in and make sure that they match up, and I don't end up having to put it in 6 inches over height, so I don't know what if I should file to find out whether the other fence should be lowered so it's to grade, or should I put one in that's higher? How should I manage that?
I think there's an awful lot of dirt that's got to be moved over the next 6 months. If you're going to start building and saying 3 or 4 months from now, all the grading has got to, I mean, you can't say what it is right now and what it will be if you start working to put a foundation in. You know,
No conservation issues here, right?
Uh,
Been through conservation?
I haven't done anything yet. I'm
No,
trying to find out
Renato.
what's happening here.
No.
So wanted to help
Not-
to get to know the
not-
building and make sure that we don't have any issues.
Renato says no.
Not
There-
that I was aware of it. No.
Not on Great Western.
Yep.
The question of these fences and fence heights and gaps, that's a long way off, I think, in terms of moving dirt around at this point.
Well, the grades won't change in my yard, right? So the fence height would be, I think it's not an issue of the existing lines in the back of my property. So if I put a fence in that's to code, that's 6 feet, and the adjacent fence is 6 inches taller, would we want to lower that so that the fence is tied in?
They're all
so we don't have-
yours?
No, they're not mine. They're Nancy's
Oh,
fence.
jeez.
Would they
Wait
meet?
a minute, do you have?
Same fence other side.
Where they,
I'm
where they
confused.
meet, where they would potentially meet is visible from the road?
of this person before he leaves, or did he leave?
Renato?
Renato's still here.
Not still there.
I'm still here.
Oh, can you, oh,
You got to come up to a mic.
Hi, Nancy.
were you
Good.
here the whole time? Darn.
Yes.
No, I just want to ask a quick question. Are you going to raise all the trees at once, or are you going to do it in two sections?
Raise the trees.
Take them down.
Take them down.
I'm probably not gonna take them down all because I'm not gonna be able to file for the permit for the second lot until, because I have to go through the same committee. And unfortunately, we didn't make it into the next appointment, the next meeting. So probably be the first lot, and then the second lot will be, come afterwards.
Okay,
Usually-
just,
usually
I want to look at my window and see it that day.
It's usually,
Welcome to the neighborhood, believe it or not.
usually they try to leave as many trees as they can.
Yes, that is for sure. We try to leave as many trees as you can for, once an older gentleman told me once, why take it down if you have to pay to put it back up again?
It's a nice thing to do.
Yeah.
If it's totally on your.
Can I
property, then
ask,
it's-
so I forgot your name, I'm sorry.
John.
John.
Yep.
So you have an existing fence.
We do not.
Oh,
we
so
have no
this is
fen- we-
Nancy's fence again?
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah, we have
And
no,
it's
we have no,
facing the
we have no
wrong way.
fences. Yeah, so we have no fences on the property.
yeah, okay,
But would likely, I think it will be, aesthetically will fit the neighborhood better if we do put a privacy fence up along that back edge.
right.
So as I'm learning now, we have a 6-foot height limit on that, and we've got an adjacent fence to it that's probably 6, 8 inches taller. so.
Jeez, yeah, I think you have to abide, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Well, no, I need to, I want my fence to
Yeah,
abide.
yeah.
Yeah.
So is this in the back property line?
Yeah.
So where your fence meets her fence, would it be visible from the street?
We are putting more dirt and everything.
yeah,
I'm confused. Are you two involved with this build, or are you just,
No,
the situation is,
He owns the property.
they're adjacent.
you own the
property.
property that they're building on?
I'm not
End
building
of
on it.
question.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think these gentlemen are building up. Okay, and to confirm, I can get the elevations will be filed with the town. I can get those. And is there a process of looking at
can show you
drainage
what
and
the
runoff that
elevations
gets
are
approved by
right
the
now.
town engineer?
you need to definitely come in and speak to the building department because they've got people on staff there to answer these kinds of questions. So,
Yeah, okay.
yeah, definitely make a plan to come in.
If you're interested in knowing about the do's and don'ts of what we'll, okay,
John?
never mind.
John, he was going to make a comment to you.
I was gonna, we have a guiding principle. We have a Bible that we use as our guiding, our guideposts. It's called the Bulletin. It's just been revised. And you're being offered a copy now. So you can look at that. It's got all kinds of information on
Fences?
what we base our decisions on and why. And there is a small section in there regarding fences.
Keeping in mind, though, that our purview is very limited in terms of those questions, so you definitely need to touch base with the building department. Right, Renato?
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, if we want to touch on the fence, I think I know what the issue is, but it's okay. Because of the terrain goes up and down, they want to keep the fence level. That's why the fence is higher in some areas and lower in others. That's the biggest issue.
Stay in touch, everybody, stay in touch with each other.
Am I good to go?
I believe
You are.
so.
Good to
Have a
go.
good night, all. Thank you so much, all.
Sorry, we didn't ask about the abutters, you guys.
No, no.
We usually ask relentlessly.
We, I can promise that we're gonna be good neighbors and we definitely work well with others. So we have no problems with all neighbors. We want to make sure everybody's happy.
Renato's telling you he's gonna work with you and be a great neighbor.
He's gonna sell the house.
Apparently they're-
Okay. What else, Mr. Chairman?
Okay, now,
All right, Ronaldo, you're all set, love.
Thank you. Bye.
the minutes of the meeting from our last meeting were written up and posted.
I move to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
You weren't here, right?
Right. I mean, I could approve, but I'll
Okay.
abstain.
I'm gonna go back and listen to the tape.
I approve.
You got enough to approve.
Okay.
Is that it, sir?
I don't know.
All right, that's it. I don't have any new news from the commission. So there's nothing we can.
No, back there.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Aye.
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 Aye, 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 aye.
Five,